What up, Space Fam? Golden here from Anime Upper, and I'm back at it again to discuss the latest and craziest chapter of One Piece. We got insane stuff happening, like the clone of a legendary character, a new devil fruit of the hypest order, Zoro greatness, and much more, so make sure to stay tuned for that. If you're a Zoro stan like me, smash that like button and hit subscribe below the video. It only takes a second and it will ensure you don't miss future videos and updates, including ones about the epitome of manliness, Zoro. And now, jumping into the chapter called The Weight of Memory, which is an amazing title once we finish the chapter. It makes a lot of sense. First, we get what looks like some written info by Vegapunk, saying even if the world does not accept how she came to be, the girl is unmistakably human. It was a success. I bear witness to this achievement, and I maintain that it is a huge step toward world peace. So that seems random AF, but it could, from the sounds of it, be referring to the clone I already mentioned and when the clone was created. And at this point, I ask myself, what can't Vegapunk do with enough time and money? That's the real question. We then jump to Bonnie in kid mode, crying about hurting herself, thus dragging the actually good Vegapunk in to try and help. But of course, this is a ruse, as made obvious by her hilarious twinkling eyes. She then becomes big using distorted future. It not only makes her older, but more muscular. It's cool that there is so much more to this fruit than we thought, and you can get more creative by distorting, quote unquote, the future. Vegapunk dodges her attack, but it's very strong enough to break the wall, and this form definitely seems fitting for Kuma's daughter, I must say. She then uses timely thrust on him, and that turns him into a helpless child. Definitely a cool ability Bonnie has to work with here. We can assume advanced hockey users can counteract its effects when used on them if they really needed to, but for most people this could really cause trouble for them. I also love how Kid Vegapunk begs to have his golden years back, even though he was 65 years old. Interestingly enough, Bonnie points out that her power doesn't last forever on living things, advanced hockey mastery or not. But I gotta say, having her close at hand for Luffy and Zoro to even briefly enter their prime years would be beyond valuable. Not to mention how distorted futures could potentially help them too. Back to the chapter, and of course Bonnie wants to know why Vegapunk took her father's life. Vegapunk still can't answer, and then we jump to Kuma climbing the red line. People are even like, no way he makes it to the top. It's like the Mount Everest of One Piece, and Kuma is panting hard, but at the same time not giving up. While this is happening, we're getting the conversation between Vegapunk and Kuma's daughter, where the scientist is explaining that he promised to keep Kuma's secret no matter what. Man, they are really building up this secret, so I'm hoping it will be worth the wait and anticipation when it's revealed, and it looks like it's going to be revealed real soon, as we'll get into. Vegapunk insists that no one made the decision for Kuma. He chose his fate for himself. Bonnie is mad though, saying he would never choose to die and abandon her, but Vegapunk just says it's been hard for him too, and he wishes he could forget the whole ordeal. And that's gonna be a funny comment when we see what's gonna happen later on as well, the ability to forget stuff, but more on that soon. So although the truth hasn't been explained yet, we can assume that Vegapunk tried to talk Kuma out of it, but Kuma insisted, and so Vegapunk, against his will in a sense, carried out his friend's wishes. And I kept saying that Vegapunk had a good reason, and it's definitely looking that way now, so good guy Vegapunk for the win. I really like how Vegapunk goes on to praise his friend, saying Kuma's an incredible man. Interesting that at least his translation uses the present tense too. He continues, I've always been proud to call him my close friend. Bonnie, please understand, I can't say anything more on the matter. And yeah, that sounds like bro code. You made a promise, you gotta keep it, even if a girl's beating you up. My respect is growing for Kuma and Vegapunk in this chapter, I must say. However, obviously Oda has to reveal the truth to us somehow, so he has Bonnie notice something, and Vegapunk very suspiciously says, pay no attention to what's over there. It's got nothing to do with Kuma. Of course it does though, and we even see the paw print we associate with Kuma on the door. Bonnie even uses oil breakdown to break down the lock. Her powers keep getting cooler in this chapter. I can't wait to see what she can do in a real fight. She sees a huge paw bubble, like the one Zoro touched in the iconic Nothing Happened moment, and to pay respect to that goosebump inducing moment, let's just collectively smash that like button as a Nakama right now. So we get a flashback next, where Vegapunk thinks about memories. They talk about how a human loses 21 grams of mass upon death, and some consider that the weight of the soul. It's definitely interesting stuff. Vegapunk is fascinated that Kuma can take such intangible things like pain and give it physical form or even transfer it to others. The potential for scientific experiments is definitely exciting, even for me, let alone for him. I love the way he explains it as total wireless transmission of nerve signals. He even wonders by that logic if it can be applied to other nervous signals, and then brings up imagination and memories. The two of them can determine whether those things have mass as well. At first, Kuma says his memories are too personal to pull out and show to Vegapunk, but Vegapunk begs him for science and promises that nobody else will ever see them. Although I have a feeling Bonnie is about to in the present. And in this way, in a sense, Kuma is not gone if that bubble is in fact his memories. Not to mention we don't know 100% if some of him is still in his pacifista body either. Vegapunk, probably trying to trick Bonnie, says that that bubble is nothing but pain. He tells her not to touch it since it is more than enough to kill someone. But Bonnie says no, she knows her father's abilities too well. While she's thinking this, we also see the Marines land a direct hit on Kuma's body, so he may well be falling down before he reaches Merijoa. I assume Bonnie in some way senses that these are his memories, and she may step into them like Zoro did to discover the whole truth. Maybe as early as the next chapter, and then we'll discover it with her. Meanwhile, the Marines are trying to finish Kuma off and telling the civilians to evacuate as Kuma refuses to stay down. Then back to Bonnie, and ding ding ding, she does in fact say his memories are here, aren't they, as she goes to touch it. But of course we don't get the big reveal yet, it could well be in the very next chapter though. Kuma for his part starts climbing from the beginning again, and I have no doubt that his climbing to Merijoa will make a lot of sense when we get to see his memories. Then we jump to our guys in the control room. They're not happy with Rob Lucci and the others making it up, but they do feel confident that Zoro and Brook can protect the ship. And me too, man. With Zoro there isn't a doubt in my mind or a worry in my mind, I gotta say. However, Daft Punk points out that the battle is far more lopsided than Usopp thinks. Usopp is then shocked to see that the Seraphims followed Lucci, and so now it's their 7 against our 2, or at least that is the way it looks to Usopp. But Daft Punk points out that it's unlikely that CP0 ordered them. In fact, he says that the Seraphims are able to assess combat situations and are equipped with some limited decision-making capability of their own. Very interesting detail there. No matter how limited, even a bit of decision-making could make a big difference at some point, and it makes these guys more interesting than if they were just remote-controlled robots. Daft Punk points out that the enemy made a big miscalculation because now they can turn the Seraphims back to their side, since they, aka the Vegapunks, are higher in the command hierarchy. Very interesting stuff, but somehow I don't think it'll be quite that simple. Some satellites go rushing to use their authority on the Seraphims, and they hope Brook and Zoro can survive until they get there. Although it might be short-lived, I'm excited to see Zoro clash with strong opponents, and potentially with Seraphim Mihawk too. I've been waiting for that so badly. We also get a hilarious moment when Sanji matter-of-factly says, "Who thought Mosshead would croak when the One Piece is in their sights?" But an angry Nami tells him to go too, since the threat affects the whole crew. Love her for doing that. Also, I must say it made me laugh to see Sanji say, and I quote, "Nami's orders are absolute for Mirafim," end quote. It's beautiful stuff, comedy gold, well done Oda. I think that joke alone deserves a smash of the like button. Back to Zoro and Brook, who have to survive. We see that Kaku has awakened his giraffe powers, and he has those similar black flames to Lucci's awakened form. Unfortunately, it's so hard to take a giraffe opponent seriously, especially when he's up against Zoro. Zoro snaps, saying he's had enough of fighting critters with zigzagging attacks back in Wano. He says he's tired of it and sends Kaku flying with a powerful attack. I love how he just seems annoyed rather than challenged while fighting an awakened zone. Lucci understands the situation and asks the Seraphims to destroy the lab before Vegapunk gets there. Daft Punk simply says, "This is bad," while Nami and Usopp lose it in their panic. They'll survive no doubt, but it's still a crazy situation to be in an attacked structure. Kaku praises the Seraphims before Stussy is shown sucking his blood. So we have a twist, but also a classic shonen situation where a powerful character is introduced and then sacrificed to hype up another one. Obviously, Kaku's awakening was cool, but since he was sacrificed for Stussy here, it suggests that she'll be way stronger, and that is also important because, as I mentioned, no one really worried about Giraffe Kaku, awakened or not. Even Lucci is like, what is going on? We see Stussy's vampire-like wings as she wipes the blood. She comments that she was just putting him to sleep. She even asks Lucci to join Kaku, saying it's time for his cat nap. You gotta love the jokes in this chapter. But in all seriousness, this is crazy and I don't know where this is going. It's pointed out that she's a clone of Miss Buckingham Stussy of the Rocks Pirates, aka Mad's first successful clone. This is not only crazy because of the rocks connection and the potential of a very hype Mythical Zone model vampire fruit, but also because of the implications of cloning. Who else might be a clone then? Luffy, whose father, Dragon, was so close to Vegapunk? Or maybe Zoro, who looks so much like Ryuma, the sword god? Luffy could even be a clone of Roger or Joy Boy. We know there's a crazy amount of similarities there. And what about Blackbeard and his connection to Zebek? Could it be a clone connection? Nothing is for sure obviously at this point, but the possibilities are crazy to think about. What an amazing hype chapter that was, and I love how this girl, who I was hoping can keep up with Lucci, seems even more powerful now. Is she gonna actually help the Straw Hats for some mysterious reason, or is she going to turn on them after she takes down Lucci as she said? So exciting. And keep in mind, Kizaru is on his way, and Blackbeard is fighting Law, and Garp is going after Blackbeard, and Kid is at Elbaf, and Shanks, and you get the point. Things feel crazy and out of control right now in the best way. Another group, perhaps my favorite to keep your eyes on right now, are of course the former Warlords, and our new updated video on them, link on screen and in the description below, is a great way to see what they're bringing to this crazy table that is One Piece right now.